Okay, this looks just like a newscaster show. Hi, my name is Nelson Dellis, and in this video we are going to talk about how to memorize all the states of the all 50 states in the USA, their names and where they are on the map. A super easy mnemonic that was inspired by a video by someone called Miss Alexander, a teacher I presume. The original video is linked in the description, so check it out and give her channel some love as well. But I figured I could make it a little more visually appealing and maybe make some of the mnemonics a little more friendly.
Hello.
All right, let's get started. So we're gonna start with the word can't. C-A-N-T. Now notice that all 4 of these states are at the southern border. So just remember that you can't cross the border into Mexico unless you got a passport. You can't. C is for California, A, Arizona, N, New Mexico, and T, Texas. Can't. Now right above that, you're gonna put the word nuck, like duck, but with an N. So the N goes for Nevada, U for Utah, C for Colorado, and K for Kansas, right across there. Now what you can remember is, first of all, Nevada is the N, has that little V there in the corner to help you remember that it's Nevada. And then to remember the rest, just think of a duck kind of walking across these 4 states here. And to remember that it's nuck, not duck, maybe think of knocking, right? So think of this duck, he wants to get down through the border, but he can't. But he's knocking on those states to see if he can actually cross into them and then potentially into Mexico. So that duck, knocking, knock. Now let's take a little detour. If you go above the letter K, all of these that go down vertically into that K have a K in them. So at the top here we have North Dakota, then South Dakota, then we have Nebraska, then underneath Kansas we have Oklahoma. Now I always like to look at Oklahoma and it looks kind of like a meat cleaver, and that handle there you can just remember is made of oak. If we go west from North Dakota, at the top there, we have Montana. Now if you look at the little edge of Montana, it kind of looks like a little M there. And it's kind of like mountainy in a way. You can imagine them to be mountains. A mountain reminds you of Montana. Going further west, you have Idaho, which looks like a lowercase I. Then if we keep going to the west, we're gonna eventually hit the water, and you wanna say, whoa. Whoa. I don't wanna hit the water, I've gotta be careful, otherwise I'm gonna go in the ocean. So whoa, W-O, that's Washington and Oregon. Now we missed one, why? Why did we miss old Wyoming? Y will remind you of Wyoming. Now we're gonna go down the Midwest here, and I want you to remember the word mimble. Kind of strange, but imagine there is a chef, and his name is Mr. Mimble. And you'll see here that you actually have the shape of a chef. He's got a chef hat, there's his face, you've got his body, his pants, and then the boots. Now the chef, he just happens to love mice. You can actually kind of see a little mouse face here on the little point of Minnesota at the top. So Minnie Mouse, Minnesota. Now Iowa is where his face is. It should make sense because that's where his eye would go, Iowa. Now the M in the middle here is Missouri. Now that's where his heart is, right? And if he's ever attacked, you want to make sure that you miss that part of his body because otherwise he'd be in trouble. So that's the part you want to miss, Missouri. Now, if we go down a little further, we have Arkansas. You can remember that because it's kind of near Kansas, it's Arkansas. And then finally, his boot is Louisiana. You can remember that L state name because of the shape of the boot is an L. Now, if we go out from his Missouri chest area, you'll notice that there's kind of this straight little square there. That's Tennessee. And above that is this kind of little jumble of stuff, and that's Kentucky. Now, he's a chef after all, so you can imagine him holding 10 plates out in front of him, and on top of them are some Kentucky Fried Chicken legs. Right, so we have Mr. Mimble, the chef, holding out 10 plates, Tennessee, and above it, on top of the plates, are Kentucky Fried Chicken legs, Kentucky. So that's K and T. Now, in that area just above Kentucky, we have a few states there, and they're all near the Great Lakes. So you can imagine that area is kind of wet, right? So I want you to remember the word mop. And what that will be is Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Now, one thing to help you remember which I is which, it's going to be Illinois as the first I and then Indiana as the second one. The way you can remember that is Illinois, if you look at it, it kind of looks like someone's coughing. So Illinois, the person is ill, and it has a little bump, kind of the back of the guy's head, which is poking into Indiana. All right, next up, we go to the top right corner. We're gonna start up at Maine. Think of it as the main point of the map, right? It's the top right, pretty prominent. It's the main part of the map, M. Now going down here, we have a backwards H, that's New Hampshire. Then we have a state next to that that looks kind of like a V, that's Vermont. And right below that, we have this massive hook-shaped thing because it's catching a bunch of fish off the coast, and that is Massachusetts. Then right below that, we have some very small state, and islands are pretty small, right? So this is Rhode Island. Now if you go to the left a bit, you'll see that that state is New York. It kind of has a Y there, so that will help you remember that it's New York. And in between Rhode Island and New York, you have this other state there which connects them together, which is Connecticut. Going down a bit, we have a state that has kind of the shape of a J, that's New Jersey. Now Delaware, just below that, I like to think it actually looks kind of like a D. Next to Delaware, you have this almost M-shaped state there with a little outcrop there. Now the M should remind you of Maryland, and people there are very merry. Down below that, we have an upside down V for Virginia. To the west of that, obviously we have West Virginia. Now below that, I like to think that those two states there below Virginia kind of make a C together, and those are the Carolinas, North Carolina and South Carolina. Now these three states right below that area are MAG. Now to me, they all look like faces of Simpson characters. And I like to think of Maggie Simpson. She's one of the Simpsons, the little baby. So that helps me remember MAG. That's Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. And then finally below that, we have a backwards F for Florida. Then of course we have our two states that are not in the continental US. We have Alaska and Hawaii. Now the Alaska is easy because it kind of looks like an A, a lowercase a. And then finally for Hawaii, it's so far out there in the Pacific that when you go there, you say, hi, Hawaii, Hawaii. Yeah, there you have it. All 50 states. Quick mnemonic, if you follow that little crazy little story, you'll have them in no time. You could fill in this map, lickety-split, lickety-split. Yeah. All right, that's it. All 50 states in your noggin. Now, if you like that stuff and you like this kind of content that helps you remember more and helps you do better in school or in life, then please consider subscribing to my channel. It's super easy. You just press the subscribe button and voila, you are now subscribed. Now, even more important than subscribing, I would love for you guys to get a copy of my book, which is called Memory Superpowers. Now, it's designed for middle schoolers from roughly the ages 10 to 14, but to be honest, it's not limited to that. I love it. I've shown it to full-size adults, and they love it too. I've shown it to people a bit younger than 10 years old, and they still love it as well. It's just a super friendly way to introduce kind of these memory ideas and topics, techniques, and how to apply them to things that kids are learning in school. Now you guys should know that the illustrator for this video is actually the same illustrator for my book. Her name is Stephanie Stillwell. She is awesome. I love her stuff. You actually might know her stuff from Instagram stories. You can actually use some of her stickers. Please check out her YouTube channel, link below, and her Instagram, also linked below. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. I am out.